Thanks everybody for joining us as we talk about the mentoring program that we are trying to establish at Greenville First Steps for supporting new and expanding childcare sites in Greenville County. We're going to talk really briefly through the project, and then we have some contact information on every slide if you have more questions or if you're interested in serving as a mentor. So essentially, we came to this project because we have a number of churches and businesses that are considering offering on-site childcare and just aren't sure how to get from this might be a good idea for our organization to I'm ready to contact DSS and take an orientation. And so some of those folks need help with maybe walking through the facility to see if, what sort of costs their church is going to need to take on in order to make this investment. Some of them need help understanding a budget so they can see whether this endeavor is going to be a revenue generator for them. And some just need help kind of thinking through where they're going to find staff or parents. So that's primarily the goal here. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of how this project would work, how mentors would be assigned and compensated, the primary categories of need, and kind of how it's delivered. Talk a little bit about what mentoring for us is and what it is not for the sake of this project. And hopefully it'll answer most of your questions. And if not, there's our contact information at the bottom of each slide to help you with more information. So I've talked a little bit about the need here. We went to two great partners, Trinity Lutheran Church and then the Greenville First Steps Board's endowed fund, have set aside funds to let us pilot this mentoring program. At the end of the day, our goal is for any of these sites that are interested in moving forward to do what they're supposed to do, right? Which is to contact DSS or Child Care Resource and Referral or Palmetto Shared Services or South Carolina First Steps 4K to start that formal process. This is really about getting a site from this might be a good idea to I'm ready to start that formal process. So essentially what we're asking of mentors is to be a subject matter expert in this early childhood work, whether your experience is in facilities or whether it's in licensing, programming, recruitment. And then a mentor would be paired with one of these new sites. And we would just ask the mentor once a week to check in with the site to see what questions they have, see how they can provide some guidance and encouragement, maybe help them think through a conversation for the next week. Really just kind of lead those discussions and checking in and basically being a resource for them. We're not asking you to design or implement anything other than providing resources. We see these as 4-week commitments, and we would compensate a mentor for $200 for a successful 4-week project. And if after the end of 4 weeks, we're like, they're making a lot of progress, but now they're ready for this other thing, then we could either reassign that mentor for another 4-week term, or maybe place them with a different mentor because they're working on a different category. But ideally, we're thinking you're checking in with a site once a week, and in exchange, you'd be compensated $200 for a 4-week commitment. The process is pretty easy. You're here at the first part, which is mentor recruitment. So mentors will be recruited who already either own or manage high quality childcare centers or have experience having done that in the past. Providers contact us on a monthly basis. And so now as a provider comes to us and they say, hey, we're ready to start conversations with the volunteer leadership at our church and we need help creating a budget, then we know a thing that you need and we know a thing that the mentors have said they have experience with, and we would pair you up and let the mentor kind of choose the partner they want to reach out to. And then you would sign an MOA with Greenville First Steps for that specific 4-week work with a specific provider. So you're not in some unending, open-ended commitment. This is for the month of February, you would be working with X church on this specific project. And at the end of February, you would be compensated and the project would either end or a new mentor would be assigned, or you would be reassigned if you want. And then you would invoice Greenville First Steps directly for those services. And that's something you'll have to make a decision on as a mentor. Do you intend to be paid as a person? Or does the organization that you already work for receive the check? And that's totally up to you and that organization. So If you're doing this as a freelancer on the side, then we will send the check to you directly. If you think this is a part of the work you already do with your organization, then we can send the check to your organization. You just need to let us know kind of how that is, and then we'll spell that out in the MOA with you. So we thought through like these are the kind of categories that we think we're going to need help with, right? So first is facility walkthroughs. That's probably the number one question we get is we think we might be ready to open childcare, and we have no idea whether our Sunday school classrooms would be a good fit for childcare. So, walking through a facility, helping them identify these are the things that the inspectors from these other state entities are going to be looking for. These are places you can go to get solutions to these problems, just to kind of help them get a picture of the sort of needs and costs that they're likely to incur before they get to a place where they're contracting with, a contractor to actually do the work, or contracting with, somebody to help them facilitate the DSS conversation. Um, the other one we hear a lot about is we are a church. We want to offer childcare. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to set it up so that they are mutually beneficial. And so how do we build and strengthen those relationships between the goals of the church and the childcare partnership? How do we recruit parents? How do we recruit staff? How do we build those relationships with Department of Social Services and Child Care Resource and Referral, Palmetto Shared Services Alliance, and South Carolina First Steps 4K, to really think through how we could both become approved, registered, or licensed, how we can receive assistance in getting that going, how can we provide maybe a site where financial assistance could be offered. So just kind of helping them think through those kind of things. It's really important to talk a little bit about mentoring. And in this case, again, what we're thinking is that the end goal here is that you're just beginning a process that will allow this site to eventually build contacts and use statewide resources from DSS and Child Care Resource Referral for Steps 4K. You're not there for an open-ended all the way through all that. You're really just there to get them from we're thinking about it to we're ready to go to the orientation that DSS offers for people who are interested in opening childcare. We really see a mentor in this case as an advisor, somebody that's just emailing once a week just to check in. It is not somebody who's available at midnight 24/7 to answer questions. I think this is, let me check in with you. Let me see how you're doing. Let me set up a phone call with you later this week to answer your questions. Let me check in with you next week. This is not a call me every day, anytime, and I'm available to help you kind of situation. This is about providing brief tips. It's not about completing tasks. So, you may want to consider awnings. Here are some places that we've used that could help you with building that. This is not about you negotiating the price of awnings for a building. And most important, it's about you just answering questions. It's like having a friend to call if you need help. You're not the subject matter expert who is going to be, the final say in whether their childcare classroom is ready for DSS to come through and do an inspection. You're really just there to say, like, as someone who's done this before, here are some things you might want to consider. So just kind of keep in mind, like, that's what we envision. This is a weekly email, maybe a phone call, maybe a site visit, just to kind of be someone that can answer questions and they can bounce off of. So here's what's next. You should have received, or if you haven't, if you'll just send me an email to the childcare at greenvillefirststeps.org and just tell us your primary contact information. What you give us here is what we will share with protective sites. So give me the email address, the phone number, your information that you want us to share with them. If you don't want them to have your cell phone number, then give us the number you want us to give out to prospective sites. And then indicate kind of what are some of your areas of expertise. So is it building a budget? Is it designing a lease? Is it negotiating relationships with the churches? Like, just kind of think through what are the areas that you think you could help with, and then just let us know whether you expect to be paid directly or whether there's an organization that will be paid for the services you provide. And that'll just help us, because if you're going to be paid directly, we've got to go through some paperwork on our end to make sure that you can get that done. And then once you do all that, you're done. And then we just wait for one of these churches or businesses to contact us. And then once they indicate we need someone with an expertise in budgeting, then we will show them the list of organizations and people who are willing to provide mentorship opportunities, who have that as a skill. And then we'll work with them to choose one. And then we'll contact you and let you know that it's been placed. And then your 4 weeks will start right then. So should be easy, should be something you can do a little bit each day. This is not a huge, we don't envision this to be a huge commitment. Thanks for looking at all of this. If you have any other questions, my email address is down at the bottom, or you can visit our website to learn more about the project. But we appreciate you considering it. Thank you.